Hi everyone, this is section 8.2 geometry, and we're going to learn how to prove two triangles are similar using angle-angle similarity. Now, main thing we have to remember from previous units is that all the angles in a triangle add to equal 180 degrees. We're going to use that a lot. You're going to also need to remember vertical angles and alternate interior angles. Now remember, vertical angles are if you have two lines, the angles that are across from each other are equal. So that's vertical angles. And then for alternate interior, if I have two parallel lines and a transversal that cuts these, then these two angles are congruent and these two angles are congruent. They are alternating on the transversal and inside of our parallel lines. So here we go. Let's solve some of these. This is everything you need to know for today. Well, I notice that here are two lines. So that would mean this and this are vertical angles. So those are both x. And now I know 1, 2, 3 of the angles. So I can go x plus 90 plus 34, and these should all add to equal 180. So we get x plus 124 equals 180. We minus 124, and we get that x is 56. Now we're not going to worry about this kite. We don't care about kites today. We are going to look at this triangle, though, because we also have to remember one other thing I forgot about, and that's corresponding angles. That just means they're in the same spot. So here and here, here and here, here and here, here and here. So I notice that these are parallel lines cut by this transversal here. So this is upper left of the transversal, which means this is going to also be 32. Now we have one over here on this same side, which means this and this are going to both be 58. But now I have a triangle where I know all three of the angles. So I can add those all together and set it equal to 180. So I get x plus 90 equals 180 minus 90, and we get that x is also 90. And there you go. That's kind of the process we're going to be using today to prove that two triangles are similar. All right, so our essential question: what can you conclude about two triangles when you know that two pair of corresponding angles are congruent? Well, we're going to know that they're similar. So this is what it's telling us. So to prove two triangles are similar, we must prove that two pairs of angles are equal. Now, to prove angles are congruent, we can either show that they have the same marks. An example of that is here where this has 2 and 2. So there's one pair, 1 and 1. There's our second pair. So those are same marks. Or second, we can prove that these angles have the same value. And we do this either by solving or by using properties. And those properties are what we looked at, where corresponding, alternate interior, vertical angles. So, if we can prove two pairs of angles are congruent, we can prove that the two triangles are similar. So let's do this. All right, so it says determine if these are similar. Well, I don't know this one, so I could put an X, and I don't know this one, so I could put maybe a Y. I want to use a different letter because I'm not sure if those two are the same. But hey, now I know three of the angles, 26, 90, and X. So I can go 26 plus 90 plus X equals 180. So we get 116 plus X equals 180 minus 116. And we get the X is 64. Well, that's great because now I know something. I know this pair of angles is congruent and this one is congruent. I know the orange are congruent because they have the same value, and I know the red are congruent because they have the same marks. So we did it. We proved that angle D was congruent to angle G, and that angle E was congruent to angle H. So it says, now write a similarity statement. Well, we've got triangle CDE, and that's going to be similar to triangle, and you got to be careful here. Make sure you match up the letters. We know D and G match up, so G is going to be our second. We know E and H match up, so that's going to be our third. Well, the only one we didn't use was K, so K has to go here. And there we go. We proved that these two triangles are similar because we found two pair of congruent angles. Let's keep going. All right, show that these two triangles are similar. Now, sometimes you're going to have to break these up. So let's do that. And remember, we just have to prove that two angles are congruent. So I've got triangle AEB or ABE, whichever way you want to do it. And I've also got triangle ACD. Well, these ones are clearly congruent, angle B and angle C, because same value. But how else am I going to prove? I don't know enough about the angles to solve. But wait. Angle A. They both have an angle A, and it's the same angle. So we actually call this reflexive, if you remember. So there we go. I have my two congruent angles. All right, let's look at our next one. Again, we're proving two angles are congruent. We'll look at that. There's two lines, so these angles are congruent. Now be careful with how you name these because they both have V, so I can't just say they're V because this angle is different than this angle. So I actually call this SVR and this angle UVT. Remember, when they share a letter and they're not the same angle, we've got to use three letters. Here we could just use A because these are the same angles. All right, now the other thing I see is that I've got these two parallel lines and these that cut. So let's see, that would tell me then that this angle is congruent to this angle. They are alternate interior. T is different than R. And there we go. I proved two angles were congruent, so I'm good. I'm done. I've done what I needed to do. Let's just look at these last two and then we'll end the video. All right, well, gotta be careful and match these up. Let's see, let's look at F and R. Well, F and R have the same, so we're good. Angle F is congruent to angle R. They both have the same marks. Now let's check G and Q. G and Q. Perfect. They have the same marks, so we're done. We proved it. Remember, you just need to prove two pairs. All right, well, some things I know. This is a straight line, so it has to equal 180. If this is 90, that means the other half has to be 90. And I like to break these pictures apart and then rearrange so that they're facing the same way. So this is F, 58, and E, and D. Well, I could solve either one because I don't know this, but I do know 1, 2, 3 angles. So I've got 32 plus 90 plus x equals 180. So 122 plus x equals 180. So x is 58. But that's awesome because now I've got 1, 2 congruent angles. So angle D is congruent to angle E because they're the same value. And angle F is congruent to angle F because they both have the same mark, 90. And we did it. We're done. So that is 8.2, solving by angle-angle similarity. Make sure you do the big ideas homework, and I will see you next video.